the past 2 weeks we've been working on the same thing, which probably goes to show how big the GM section for our Sourcebook is going to be, really. Um, 2 weeks ago, we started writing hidden secret lore for game masters that they can use to make their own adventures and have big reveals for the players.
That's right.
And then last week, we began to work on adventure hooks. So we're talking about how the Pen Baedd might act as quest givers, or what kind of antagonists they might have in the forestry clan area. And doing that, we came up with a bunch of ideas. We're going to flesh these out off stream, I believe. Different antagonists, different motivations antagonists might have, different locations we can adventure in, what kind of rewards they might have, all brainstormed and written out, all lovely jubbly. And now we're working on one thing we didn't do yet. We've got two things we didn't do yet. One is talk about the Pen Baedd as antagonists on a clan level. We talked about antagonists within the Pen Baedd, but we haven't talked about the Pen Baedd as antagonists themselves. We talked like inter-clan relations and that kind of thing.
Sure.
We haven't done that, and we also want to make an adventure idea, like an adventure site, with a bunch of possible adventure hooks and kind of hijinks that can happen. Basically, like a location in the clan that would be a good spot for adventure, and here's the reasons why it'd be a good spot for adventure.
Wonderful.
So should we do the Pen Baedd antagonist first? It kind of sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. So the interesting thing again. So we're just writing a book, and the thing we have to decide is how one is structure, right? Like, are we structuring in such a way where it's just generally why would the Pen Baedd be the villains or antagonists? Not necessarily villains, right? Antagonists can be different from being villainous, but why would they be antagonists? Or are we structuring in such a way why they would be antagonistic to each of the other factions?
I'm not following your distinction.
Well, because like when we write about it, we can either structure it in such a way where like, why would the Pen Baedd be an antagonist? They would be an antagonist because this is their motivation.
Yeah.
But if it's per clan, it could be like to the Pen Levy, they could be antagonistic because of the tension from 20 years ago.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So we can either situate it from a certain point of view where a certain clan might be the protagonist and the Pen Baedd would be the antagonist, or it could be more general. I'm not sure.
My answer is both. Like, I think we should discuss like what the Pen Baedd as antagonists would look like, and what why they might get into that situation, and then we can then mention how that could conflict with each of the other clans as like a note. Yeah.
So start with the general, then see if we need to go.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any idea? I have an idea, but do you have?
I think first of all we should talk about grievances, right? That's usually a good motivation for antagonism. I think grievances and then like beliefs, I guess, like grievances and beliefs. Well, what are your thoughts?
No, I think it's a good point. I mean, obviously, we're just kind of categorizing things, so anything we say will sort of. Is there anything that would fall out of this purview, this kind of categorization system to create an antagonist? Antagonism?
I actually don't think so, really. Yeah.
Because one is more like reactive and one is like more proactive, right? Like grievances is like reactive.
Yeah.
No, that's not necessarily true. One is situated out in the world, and one is situated from like a internal motivation, cultural motivation. Probably is the better way to do it. So maybe those two are fine. Okay,
I'm
so
actually
do you have
happy
any?
with that. They just came out of nowhere, but I'm keen.
That's the magic. That's how the magic happens. So lay it on us. Do you have any ideas for grievances?
Yes, let's go to our trusty map. Maps are a good source of grievances, as we know well in the real world, and that's all else we'll say about the Massacre. You don't need to start listing off a whole bunch of real world grievances. We're good on that. But,
sorry, say that again. I missed that bit before, right before.
I said a map is a good source for grievances. We can leave that there, and we don't need any real world commentary, Kurt. So,
All right, sure. Well,
yeah, exactly. No worse. Yeah.
Well, point out where the Pen Baedd is for if you're joining us, and you. So again, if you're new to the chat, please drop us a line. We'll be glad to say hi. But if you are new to the chat, we are designing. This is the map from Legends of Avallen, our game.
Yeah.
And the Pen Baedd are in the middle there, right?
Yeah. This is our forest clan. And once upon a time, they used to rule lands that stretched further to the south as well, outside of the forest. And maybe the forest was situated there as well, but has recently been receded, cut down, because a great war was fought between the Raxian Empire and the Penkawer, and a lot of this ground was gained by the Empire and the Penkawer clan, pushing the Pen Baedd further north, so they lost territory in that war. In the end, they were victorious in that they pushed back the offensive and they weren't conquered. But Varanus' wall has now been erected and still being built to demarcate those territorial gains, and so there's a strong grievance there. Yeah.
So here's a question for you too. So this is differentiating between the Pen Baedd, which is known as the Forest Clan, and the Penkawer, which had the Argyll Forest in the middle of it, which is also a large forest.
Yeah.
How do you envision those forests being different? Like, why is the Pen Baedd the Forest Clan, but the Penkawer have a giant forest in the middle of their lands?
The difference is the Penkawer don't live in the Argyll Forest. They all live around it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe this is a conversation for another time. I'm just wondering if there's something different in the structure of the Argyll Forest that makes it like more hostile or less hospitable.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, you're right. I think that could be a good point. Like, there could be two reasons for it. One is a cultural reason. The Penkawer prefer to live on plains. They're a much stronger farming culture, and it's difficult to farm in the forest. Whereas the forest probably used to be larger, and they've been cutting it back. So they probably fell trees, whereas the Pen Baedd live amongst them. So that's the main difference. Yeah. And
we also have it like kind of set up in the opening short story of Legend of Avallen, that the opening short story takes place in the Argyll Forest, right?
Yeah, it's this town here, Argyll.
Yeah, so it's also very strange and spooky. So maybe that's also a thing.
Yeah, Zilphia says spookier. Exactly, yeah.
yeah. So that's okay. Yeah, I like that too. So they are spooky, and then they live in the forest. So okay, and you're also talking about right now that you imagine them cutting it back. Is the grievance too, like, is there better wood quality in the Pen Baedd that makes it better for building? And so like they often have like other clans or like tradesmen coming in trying to sneak a bite and trying to like deforest it a little bit because of the better quality wood or something.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. And so they can be very hostile to trespassers and so on for that reason. But is that them being antagonists? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, you can make it that way, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily a grievance unless it's happening on a mass scale, right? Unless you're saying lots of people are stealing their stuff, that's a grievance. Yeah, but I don't think they are. I think that's what the wall's for. I don't think that's probably happening on a big scale.
But yeah, so they did lose southern lands to the Penkawer and Raxians.
Yeah. I imagine they experienced Pen Levy raids, but probably not as much as the Pendrike or the Borderlands. So maybe that's not really as much of a grievance as it is for other people.
I mean, I imagine obviously the Pen Levy are the raiders.
Yes.
But raiding was a big part of raiding and cavalry and stuff was a big part, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, of Celtic culture in general. Do you imagine the Pen Baedd and the Pendrike also do their own kind of raids on each other, or that's just kind of situated purely in the Pen Levy?
I think amongst the Pendrike, it's probably inter-clan. I think there's raiding between tribes. I think the Pen Baedd and Pendrike also might raid the Borderlands sometimes, but I do think it's a much bigger thing with the Pen Levy and the Penkawer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious about where your head's on that, because it's not something we've established super clearly yet. I don't think.
Yeah. No, we haven't. Okay. In that case, then I think, like, historically speaking, as the law stands now, that's the big grievance that they have. So maybe we should invent another grievance. We should come up with a reason that the Pen Baedd have a chip on their shoulder about something, and the Pen Baedd like really value like tradition and history. So I'm imagining something probably happened like 1,000 years ago that they will not let go, like an old myth or legend that makes them, I don't know, grumpy about something for some reason.
I mean, categorically, they're of the Evermother, right? And I guess all the tribes have grievances with each other because of the sorrows. How do you say, ego to Fion? Or
yeah.
The sorrow.
Right.
And the role that the Evermother plays in the culture is like, you could have like the two sides of it, right? If they're the Evermother, on one hand they could be nurturing, on the other hand they could be overbearing and judgmental, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine that with terms of whatever grievance they have, it'll take, that's one manifestation of their role, right? Like they know better than the other people, kind of thing. And so that's why they're the antagonists, because I mean, in a way,
that ties into that beliefs, right?
Huh? I guess that'll be under beliefs. Well, I guess I mentioned that under
but
beliefs.
We could do both, though. But to say that again, so the Evermother is
like the Evermother, they can have a sort of overbearing perception of their relation to the other clans, as in like the Evermother knows best, right?
Knows best.
And maybe that goes for the Everfather as well. I could see both of them being prideful, so they could have like a huge, like extremely prideful. And so when another clan does something that they disagree with fundamentally, well, they'll do whatever they can to sort of thwart that and keep the status quo or something.
Yeah. I think that my instinct is that it would be something that the Pen did, like the Ever Elder.
What do you
like I'm thinking two things. One is like, okay, this belief is true, and it would make them come into contact. Have something against other clans when they did something that breaks through tradition. Obviously, that immediately applies to the Pen because they've sided with the Empire and they're kind of foregoing all the traditions. But the Pen worship the Everchild. It's a child. Like, what do you expect is going to happen, kind of thing? And they already have their grievance because they've been to war. I feel like this would most apply to the other clans that should know better. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, they could, either way, they can have I could see them having their chip on the shoulder towards the I mean, they worship the Everchild, but it's still a representational of...
Yeah. But my point is that this grievance already applies to that, so we should have another grievance towards another clan for some reason, or a group of people.
And we're looking for something material, right? Okay, we're looking for something material too. Yeah, this is an interesting.
And I guess part of this as well is that our historical timeline isn't as fleshed out as we would want it to be, right? Like the periods in history we have is the pre-God era, where the Faithra ruled the land. We have the Wild Hunt, then we have the Sorrows that followed, or no, the period of prosperity when the gods ruled the land. Then we had the Sorrows, the Great God War afterwards, and then that's it, right?
Divine Briendel, the period of the Divine Briendel, right? Briendel? How do you say that? Yeah, so that's the golden period, and then the Sorrows.
So we should have something after that that's new, that somehow brings into conflict with the other clans based on a tradition that's broken, or some kind of religious thing.
Sure. Maybe
like an execution of druids or something like that. Maybe druids committed a crime and they were killed and they're seen as representatives of the gods, so the Pen Baedd have never forgiven them for that. Something like that. What do you think?
Let's take that idea to its sort of logical terminus. Are you saying that other clans executed a high druid or something?
Yes.
From the Pen Baedd land, or
maybe, maybe that would be a good reason.
Yeah, okay. Is there a way to tie into, like, was it Innis the Will? Like, maybe the grievance is like a long time ago. Like, Innis the Will is kind of like the island that's like the heart of Druidic culture in Valid culture, right?
Yeah.
Which basically owned by the Pen Levy. But maybe hundreds of years ago, there was like a dual, like there was like some sort of there's one of two things we could do. Either there was a decision as to where the heart of that should be, like a high druid conclave, and the choices were between the Pen Baedd or the Innis Duil, and the Innis Duil won.
Yeah.
Or there was a rotation that happened before, and eventually it just settled on Innis Duil, and the Pen Baedd. It's kind of like, it falls into that again with the Evermother. It feels like people should come home, but they're not coming home, and this should be where everyone hangs out.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And when it comes to Pen Levy Pen Baedd relations, I feel like the Pen Levy probably raid the Pen Baedd less than other places because it's just hard to raid through a forest. So I think it's interesting that the Pen Baedd have a chip on the shoulder for the Pen Levy, not for the same reason that most other people do, but it's for a spiritual reason. And you're right, it is a bit strange that the Pen Levy ended up being the main area of gathering for the Druids when the Pen Baedd are the ones that are so spiritual and religious tradition. So yeah, I think it should be tied to that. I think that's a great idea. So I guess then we're explaining, why did Innis Duis become the stronghold for the Druidic way of life? Like, what happens?
Let's go to the Bible.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Bible. Open up your books to pages in Avallen.
Great question. It's in the Pen Levy law section. So that's here. It's on page 139, or that's 140.
I have 140.
Okay.
So Island is world superior quality. Is from the.
Wait. I guess I'll read it for stream, right? Innis Duis. Off the coast of the Black Boglac, Innis Duis is an island with soil of superior quality to any found on the mainland, which would be a point of offence for the Pen Baedd anyway to claim that, maybe. As one of the few places in the Pen Levy territory able to sustain a population with agriculture, they have entrusted it with a holy purpose as home to the largest Druidic conclave in all of Avallen. While many of the highest Druid ranks are indeed committed to the Everstranger, Innis Duis welcomes devotees of all the Ever Ones. The conclave is believed by many to be the most spiritually rich in Avallen, and so other clans send their most promising druids there for training. Yeah, I feel like the Pen Baedd are definitely jealous of this. Recently, they've become more militaristic towards the Raxians, and that's what we have on it.
Yeah. So
the question is, why did that become the hot spot for Druidic culture and not somewhere in the Pen Baedd? Well, why did the Pen Baedd lose it even?
Yeah, I mean, it could be like so we have that sentence there, right? Well, many of the highest ranking druids are indeed committed to the Everstranger, and it's how do you say Innis Duis?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm so bad for that, but thank you. Yeah, thank you for my Welsh lesson for the day. But the idea there is that even though they're the Everstranger, and it's in Pen Levy territory ostensibly, they are of all the culture, right? Like they're about the culture as a whole, not just about the Pen, not just about the Everstranger, right? Because in a way, the Everstranger is, I mean, that's why I love the Everstranger. The Everstranger is a powerful figure, and in the in Valak culture, and it has both this transgressive and this kind of nurture. Death in itself, like a peaceful death, is a sort of nurturing in its own way, right? Like, which is why I like the two-faced nature of the Everstranger. So it could be that they were more spiritual, like when they had a meet and they were deciding on where this conclave should be when they needed it. Of all these as Druidic culture flourished, and it became apparent that they should sort of have training and honor. It could be that they had a specific meet 1,000 years ago or something, and the Pen Baedd, because they had like a lot of great druids, they thought that it was going to be them. But then once they had some sort of meet, like sort of challenges, either of like non lethal combat and all this stuff, the greatest druid ended up being the druid. The winner of it ended up becoming the Pen Levy druid, who basically chose Innis Duis, like one of the great like Pen Levy heroes or tribe leaders or something, ended up being the one who like was victorious and chose Innis Duis. God damn it!
Yeah, no, you gotta go.
Innis Duis as the spiritual heart of Avallen, and for Druidic conclaves.
So you're suggesting that there was some kind of large Druidic meeting, and there was a kind of contest of sorts, and it was a Pen Levy druid that won, rather than a Pen Baedd. But
yes.
But is that so? That I guess that would be a grievance that isn't necessarily warranted, but that makes it maybe better in a way.
Because in a way, then what happened there is that all the great druids left Pen Baedd and studied in Innis Duis, and that became like the one of the spiritual centers. I mean, there's still, I guess we have to assume that there's high druids in every court.
Yeah. So maybe okay. So what we're suggesting is, and I'm fine for this, that there was maybe this is like, soon after the gods left the Avallen and signed the Ever Pact, that they realized they needed to have like a meeting, a spiritual meeting. What do we do going forward? And yeah, there's some kind of contest, or maybe like if it was a vote, the Pen Baedd might have won easily, right? Maybe they were just the obvious choice, but there was some kind of contest put forth, probably by a Pendraic because they love contests, and the Penlevy Druid won probably because they're closer to death somehow, like they're closer to the other world in that way. And yeah, Zilphia says it's a bit of a soft spot for them. Yeah, exactly. It's still quite. Yeah, I think that's good. I think maybe it's good. It's like this grievance is warranted. They lost land in a war.
Yeah.
Give them a grievance that's maybe like them kind of in the wrong, but they won't let go of it. I think it's fun.
And also resources. Like it's implied then that even though the Penlevy are in some ways the most aggressive, that island itself as a spiritual center, because they're a place that trains other druids, every clan has to kind of like pay tithe to them in that way, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's like a soft spot for them. Like it's kind of annoying. But I don't think it has to be so soon after the end of the Sorrows.
No.
I mean, I think I kind of imagine it being something that like as I feel like druidic culture is something that would develop after the end of the Sorrows as a way to sort of keep touch with the other world. I don't necessarily think, but as the culture develops, it could and grows, then it becomes a thing that becomes necessary.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of years later, kind of thing.
So what am I saying then? At some point, I guess for now, in the past, the question of druidic, sort of a central or like a chief druidic grove was raised. The great meet was held between druids to decide it. If it came to a vote, the Pen Baedd would have been the host, since they are the most, quote, traditionally spiritual. However, the Pendraic Druid suggested some kind of test instead. I don't want to call it a contest. That seems strange, right? Some kind of...
meet?
I guess a contest is a test, right?
I would say a meet. Or like a meet. I mean, a contest is fine, like, but it's not a contest as in a sweepstakes or a raffle or something. It's just, it's a contest.
Contest instead. And a Penlevy Druid won because they were more comfortable with death or something like that. More comfortable with death in the other world.
And they're badass dual. Like I imagine that they're strong. Like again, living in the Penlevy lands is jarring. So the druids who come from there, when they do come from there, are just very, very good at their jobs because they have to be. Is what I imagine.
Penlevy, and it has remained a sore spot, grudge, sore spot. We'll write the data, sore spot.
Yeah, I like Pen
Baedd since. Yeah. So I like this. This is like, it's a grievance, but this is expanding our history, right? So this is another GM secret. Like, it's not necessarily a secret, but it's something that isn't going to be common amongst knowledge. It's something that the players could learn one day.
And the thing that could happen in the future in the campaign is if the Penlevy, one of the two things that happen, right? The Raxians really want Inith to fall.
Yes.
And it somehow weakens in power. There can either one be a contest to call for a new place, or two, if they don't like how they're handling the situation with the Raxians and they want to be the seat of power, like if the Pen Baedd want to like sort of make an incursion into the Raxian land, they might want to be in control of that power, and so that might be a thing that later becomes an adventure or something. As a
100%. Like just pointing back to the map again, like it wasn't just the Pen Baedd that lost grounds to the Raxian Empire. The Penlevy used to control these marshlands in the south here, the Black Boglak, and they recently lost them. So now Inishtuith is ever more growing in, I guess, risk, in peril. to the Empire. The Empire's like stepping ever closer. Now the Pen Levy have lost control of the Bay of Theathrin, so supply lines to Innisplit and transport routes will be at risk if the Rakshans ever made a move. So yes, the Pen Baedd could definitely try and say, hey, it might be better if we move our druids back home instead, right?
Yeah. Hey, there could be an interesting political question there, right? Like, maybe the Pen Baedd they're warriors, but they're not as aggressive as the Pen Levy are, right? And that could be a contention, right? Like, the Pen Levy basically wants it to be a military base, and the Pen Baedd want to recognize it's important as a spiritual base, and they're afraid that if that falls, the spiritual center of Avallen, of the Valak culture, will fall as well.
Yeah.
And so that could be like the tension they have and the quarrel they have over where the heart of that should be.
Yeah. So I love that, and I love now that we've added this grievance section to the factions, because we're going to write these out for all the other clans as well, and it's going to prompt us to come up with bits of history, basically. Grievances are from the past, right? So
right.
Yeah,
now,
that's really encouraging. That excites me, Kurt. I'm happy.
I'm happy too. It's fun. Do you want to come up with one more?
I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a lot or enough. I guess we can come up with another suggestion if you want to. I don't think that section's going to be too big, and there's enough to write about there already.
Yeah, I mean that's a long paragraph, but we'll definitely truncate it as much as we can. Let's see here. What would be another grievance?
Well, we've done kind of two territorial ones. In a way, they're different for different reasons. One's military, one's spiritual, but maybe we should do one, like I mentioned before, like some kind of political slight. Like a gift wasn't appreciated as much as it should have been, or someone was executed, or like a marriage was turned down.
Sure.
That kind of thing, you know.
Well, I'm interested in. You mentioned before about the Everstranger. I'm interested. I feel like the Everstrangers are far north. If that's important.
You mean the Ever Elder?
The Elver Elder in the
Pen Baedd.
Like what? They're very distant from each other.
Yeah.
But does that mean that they just never interact, or is there a way to make them interact in a way that creates like a grievance between the two lands?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right for like a political grievance, because I think that the Pen Baedd, they think of themselves as distant cousins and separated from the mainland, but I guess the Pen Baedd have this motherly feeling of like, no, we're all children of Avallen. You should also be involved here. We should reach out to you. It's kind of like when my mum messages me on WhatsApp and I don't reply, and then I feel bad, but then I don't reply, and then she gets really annoyed at me because I'm not replying. I feel there should be that kind of dynamic there.
Okay, so what?
And even more so because it's the Ever Elder. She knows secrets of the world, and she might know more than the Ever Mother, you know. And
right.
There's nothing more that mothers hate than you telling them that you know more than them.
Yeah. Now to clarify, the Ever Mother is not the Ever Elders. I mean,
no, they're not related. No.
Well, no, I know they're not related, but even then, if you talk about the Ever Elder, isn't the Ever Elder like the grandparent? Like, is it a different relationship there?
I mean, it's a bit strange, really, because the Ever Elder was literally older than the other gods when they were mortal.
Yeah.
But since then, they've lived for thousands of years, so it's like she's 30 years older than the rest of them. It's like, does that really matter when it comes to thousands of years? But instead, she's like she's a goddess of secrets and hidden knowledge, so she still does know more than the rest of the gods. So yeah.
And I mean, but you imagine the dynamic. Like, what do you imagine the dynamic? And again, this is loose. It's not like she's an actual mother figure. She's a mother figure within the sort of the portfolio of divine responsibilities. Sure.
Yeah.
But do you still see the Ever Mother as being like a motherly figure towards the Ever Elder? Because I don't know if that's necessarily true either.
No.
But just to the clan. But you're saying to the clan.
Yeah, to the people of Avallen, especially. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah. So okay. So what does that mean then? So if you're saying that it's the kids that don't respond to a WhatsApp message, like, what does it have in an Iron Age fantasy world?
I'm thinking some kind of marriage that wasn't accepted, or a gift, or some kind of diplomacy. I don't know.
It could be a chronic thing, right? It could be that the Pen Baedd expect, like, because they're the most traditional, they expect, like, when their messages go out and they do things that are like allied and things. Like, even with the Pen Levy, like...
Are you saying it's like Christmas cards? Like, every year the Pen Baedd send out Christmas cards, and the other clans respond, but the Pen of Unk never do. And it's been like that way for like hundreds of years. And they keep sending because they want to make a point, and the Pen of Unk keep not replying, and they don't know why. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, and it could even be actually economic, right? Because they know... Okay, here's a mystery for you. It could be that the Pen of Ankh are known as a seafaring people.
Yes.
Which requires wood, but they rarely trade with anybody. Oh no, they really trade the Pen. Do they trade with the Pen Baedd for their wood? Like, who do they trade with for their wood and boats to make things?
That's a great question.
Who are the main trade partners?
I don't see why they wouldn't be.
I mean, they should. So are they? Okay, so it could be that if they are, I mean, two things happens. Either they're great trade partners for their wood, and they're the ones that supply the Pen of Ankh with everything, but the Pen of Ankh are, and that's okay. Then that's not a grievance. Or it becomes a grievance because the Pen of Ankh aren't great trade partners, despite them being the both. So either they don't necessarily pay late.
But I feel like if they weren't great trade partners, then they'd stop trading, and that would be the end of that grievance. They would just trade. So it has to be something that's more ceremonial, I think.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. You don't feel like them saying, "Where do they get their wood from?" Fuck those guys. Give me a. Give me a yeah, maybe. And maybe that's too like trade oriented, and it's also kind of funky.
I'm okay with the Christmas card idea. Like, there's some kind of ritualistic, traditional exchanging of gifts that the Pen Baedd do with all the other clans, and the Pen of Ankh never send a gift back, essentially. I guess is that not enough to be a grievance? Is that it should be something harsher?
Yeah, it feels a bit. I don't know. It feels a bit soft to me. Unless it's like a specific thing that's rooted either in economics or either it has to kind of be rooted in for me, I think it has to be rooted in some kind of economic reality, especially if they're that distant. And I'm not sure exactly what that would be. So Zilby said it could be jealousy.
Yeah, jealousy works, but we just did jealousy for the Pen Levy, right?
Also jealousy, and jealousy on like a clan level is trickier without. I mean, jealousy has to manifest itself in like political reality, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about grievances, there has to be a political reality to a grievance in order for it to be warranted. Now, let's point to the real world. Okay, let's think outside the box for a second. Let's get outside of our world and look for real world examples. Like, what's aside from like obvious examples like World War II or something like that? What's an example of a country that seems to have a grievance against another country for some reason?
Well, that's easy because I'm half English and I've lived in England, so I can name 100 countries that have grievances with us for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, but aren't based in colonization.
That's harder, yeah. We got a lot of that.
Yeah, they're not based on the fact that you guys took over their shit and took all the resources and then left. So that isn't based in that. So what's a good? Are there any real world politic examples?
I mean, not that it's still really around. A lot of them would have been like old grievances because we're in contest with other countries, and so like Spain, like obviously we've been to war with Spain and we beat them a few times, but before that, there was a lot of contest for resources via the navy, that kind of thing. So there would be a casual hostility between Spanish and English people. Same with the Netherlands and some of the countries up there as well. They were also trading a lot. So, but that's just like empire wars, basically.
Right. Yeah. So, if I'm talking about the Pen of Ankh with the Pen Baedd, you can create a story of a time or an event because the Pen of Ankh value secrets, right?
Yes.
And so if there's an espionage element to their culture,
Oh, yeah. But
it
so
could be
it's a secret that they've kept that they depend on. Oh, so it's like who killed JFK, but JFK died in another country, and that country knows how, but they won't tell the Americans. They won't tell you where his body is either. That kind of thing. Like someone died in the Pen
like,
land or something like that. Someone sacred to the Pen Baedd, and the Pen didn't tell the Pen Baedd. They found it from second hand, and they still won't tell them how it happened or where they are or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there could be something like that where the Pen are holding their secrets to their chest, and the Pen Baedd fucking hate that.
Yes.
Or they have compromising information. Zilfi also has a comment. Distance could be the issue. They know of each other, but beyond some trading, there's not much interaction. Being strangers towards each other could be what keeps them apart. And that that could be valid too. It's a question of how to turn that into like a grievance or a conflict, right?
Yeah.
And would the Pen Baedd be antagonistic towards like the Pen of
Okay, now I'm settling on something. We've been on this for a while now. If we're adding a third grievance, this is going to be it. It's going to be someone did not return from the Pen of Bunk Isles. An important Pen Baedd person. So we need to figure out who that is or what that is. Did not return from the Pen of Bunk Isles. The Pen Baedd found out second hand that they had died, but the Pen of Bunk will not tell them how or even where the body is. The body is. It's kind of like when here you go. There's the trade in the English when the English take relics and they're in the museum and the countries ask for it back and the museum says no. It's that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't have to be a person that died. Maybe it's something went missing. Hey Dale, welcome. Good morning.
What up, Dale? Nice to see. It must be super early there. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So early in the morning.
We are currently writing grievances that the Pen Baedd might have against other clans or people.
Could it be something that has to do with the and again I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this, the Nok Nafili, like the
Druid Festival? The Bard Festival? Yeah.
The Bard Festival, yeah, where like they sent their greatest bard one year and he just fucking disappeared. He just Buddy Hollied and like nobody knew what happened to him.
I'm thinking something like that, or it could be a thing instead. And I'm kind of interested with the museum idea, like something.
Okay, so if you're running a thing, it could be an artifact or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's a fun artifact? It could be a great.
And then we could tie it into the magical items then as well, right? It could be something that's in the magical items section.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Put a great magical item that will be in the magical item.
Awesome.
I like that idea.
Magical Pen Baedd artifact. And then why was it there? Was it like on tour? Was it like a gift, or was it part of like a diplomatic thing? Like why would it be there?
I mean, if it was a diplomatic thing, it could actually lead to some kind of war at the time, right?
Yeah, kind of. It's also now reminding me of the Falkland Islands with Argentina, England, and Argentina.
Okay. Falkland Island. Island. I can't say that correctly.
Oh, there you go. Dale's got it. You penned it in straight away. A bardic instrument. Instead of a bard going missing, a bardic artifact that they took to Knocknafili.
Sure. It was Paul McCartney's left-handed.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear about that story? Sorry, quick tangent about that.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that bass? Do you know the story of that?
No. What is it?
Paul McCartney's famous Hofner, I think it was a Hofner bass, the one that looks like a giant violin, it disappeared for decades.
Oh, really?
And just last year or something, like very recently, it was discovered in somebody's home.
Wow.
And they returned it to Paul McCartney. So it was like a legendary instrument and disappeared because someone like stole it like during the tour, sold it or hid it with like a family.
Right.
The family. So that could be a lot of fun. Yeah, I like that idea.
It went. But it went missing. And not to return from the Navals. Then the Pen Baedd found out second hand that it's like on display. That it's on display in Suirchan Shinjie. but the punishment will tell them how they got it.
Okay. So the Pen
and...
I believe that they own it, and the Pen Avallen believe that they got it fair and square or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reflection of real world politics.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly. And it's like one day if they ever went to war, it would definitely be a part of like the settlement negotiations. It's like, you give us back that freaking loot. Yeah. Cool. All right, that's fun.
Loot would be a much later instrument, but I like where your head's at. Now I do. That'd be a fun adventure too, like a heist to take out.
Yeah, we have heists. Heist, that would be good. Yeah, still the famed loot from Surgens and shit. Yeah.
All right, all right. So belief. So do we need another belief?
Yeah. Let's do beliefs. Dale says could be owned by an ancient hero, both a druid and a bard. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
What about bardic artifact blessed by druids instead? Yeah.
We could fabricate like a great legend or a heroic figure based on that we like. So and so's. Actually, it'd be fucked up. It was actually if it belonged to the Evermother.
Yeah,
it was like the Evermother, like she played something, and that is her instrument.
Yeah, rather than like, but like once played by the Evermother, that kind of thing. Blessed by druids.
Yeah.
And once played by the Evermother, that kind of nonsense. Like maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. But yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty messed up.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so now
then you can. Sorry, I would say if it was like played by the Evermother, then you could really tell why they're sore about it.
Yeah. Okay, so now I think actually everyone's beliefs should probably come first, but that's fine. Let's talk about general beliefs that the Pen Baedd have that might make them come into. So I guess actually this is interesting. So this is basically what we're doing here. Is grievances is reasons that we've written that the Pen Baedd might go aggro against other clans and people, but then beliefs is us giving you suggestions about how you might fabricate your own, right?
Yeah,
that's basically what it is. This is like, here, these are already in the game. Use them if you want to. And then beliefs would be like, here's how you come up with your own. These are the kind of things that Pen Baedd might get pissed off about.
Like
so,
the kind of examples. I got you.
Yeah.
So, we came up. So the first belief is the fact that the Evermother knows best.
Yeah.
She's we're bearing, and so they chafe at people, other clans straying from tradition or their leadership. They kind of see themselves as like the spiritual leaders.
Yeah.
Even though that's not necessarily true, because every clan is their own spiritual leader, but they're the most annoying about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Might suffer their ire. Is that the right way of saying it? Yeah, the mother is overbearing, knows best attitude of other clans, especially when it comes to traditions. So clans that break away from that might suffer their ire. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
let's find our Pen Baedd section then, I guess. Sure. Read about the Pen Baedd a little bit.
And then one more. Yeah. So you have your Bible open. What was that?
Yeah. Page 1 through 7. Yeah, Dale's got it. Of course, she knows best. Who in their right mind believes anything else? Exactly. Spoken as a true Pen Baedd.
Yeah. It's like there's your way, and then there's the right way, and
oh yeah. Also, the obvious one would be an affront to nature, right? Like they believe themselves to be in tune with nature and protectors over it. They steward the forest. If someone would go against that, I think we have a story about that. I think there's a story in the core rulebook with adventurers parlaying with the Evermother herself regarding Araxian, like deforesting operation, essentially. Lumber camp, yeah. So
is it under socializing?
Where's the story? Yeah, I think it's a socializing story, yeah. But the point is that they see themselves as protectors of the land, right?
Yeah.
Protectors of the land and nature. So
yeah. Would you say that they're the most like Luddites? They're the most anti-progress then, so to speak?
Yeah.
Does that make so? I mean, how do they view? So yeah, I'm curious about how they view certain technologies. And like, do they have scribes in their tribe? Like, where they just be like, no, writing isn't cool. The old ways is only oral tradition. So
yeah, probably they'd be the ones that are most be against writing, and possibly the Pen Baedd as well, because writing makes it hard to keep secrets, I imagine. Like, you can't write down a secret and hope no one finds it, right?
Yeah, but then also you can keep it, but you can also write a secret down and hide it away for later. And you can keep more secrets for that reason. Although, there is the sort of Greek, what do you call it, the Hellenistic view on, Aristotle criticizing people for writing shit down, or Plato, maybe it was Plato,
Makes you
criticizing.
lazy.
Yeah, it makes you lazy because you're just not remembering everything. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So I can see that being a thing, but I don't know. It kind of goes both ways. Like I could see the Pen Baedd going either way on it.
Yeah.
Like on one hand, yeah, you don't want to write things down to keep it even more secret, or writing things down so you can keep more secrets. I'm not sure, but definitely the Pen Baedd, they're like, no, fuck you. I don't want to. I mean, maybe they write stuff down a little bit because it's practical, but like big oral histories and stuff, maybe that's frowned upon. So yeah, they're the Luddites, right? They're the
huge fanatic one. But I don't think they'd attack someone over technology. I think they more like to do it because of what the technology is doing to the land, right? Or the
sure.
Or the damage in the land to create the technology, that kind of thing. Like they would find aqueducts to be to be horrible manifestations of human hubris, right? Like,
yeah.
Rerouting water, that's like a chief insult. Yeah.
Like I can see that being an adventure where like the Pen Baedd are anti-Rexian, especially anti-Rexian technology, and then like Pen Baedd raiders are like trying to destroy like a Rexian aqueduct that feeds a Pencower village, and they need that water or something.
Yeah, but then the Pen Baedd would say, well, you shouldn't have built the village there. You should build it in its natural spot, which would be near the water in the first place. Yeah.
So basically, eco-terrorist.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Oh, so Dale said that they worked with annoying waiters like that in their hospitality career.
Waiters like what? The eco-terrorists.
No. Like the I think the druids who force you to remember everything, or like.
Oh right. Like writing down the orders is the coward's game out. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like remember everything, right?
No.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, like an elitism. Yeah, waiter elitism, gatekeeping.
Yeah.
You're not a real waiter. You write down the order. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like I just whatever you need to do to get the person to order right. That's good service. I mean, I guess there's something to be said for the sanitariness of not writing it down, but still, anyway. No, yeah, I like that. I like the eco-terroristic angle. Okay, well, when we say that they're the eco-terroristic angle, are any of the other tribes like that, or is it just like?
No, I don't see why they would be. I mean, the Pen Baedd mine the land, they use the land, right? The Pencower farm the land. The Pen Levy hate the land. It tries to kill them.
The Pen Baedd full of secrets, so they like understanding more about progress and technology.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, love it. Print it.
Public lands don't. And then because of the rule of 3, I feel like we need one more belief.
Okay.
So I'm just checking the Pen Baedd character creation section for a second. They're the most devout clan, known for the strict customs and worship of all that is natural. So we kind of covered both those things there with these two, right? The territory is hidden deep within the canopies of the vast Glencoth forest, where they worship the Evermother, valuing piety, honor, and tradition. So they could hate liars or people that break arrangements and diplomacy, that kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, because to that point too, the Pen Baedd, the older Pen Baedd, because they had a lot of war, they're kind of keeping the peace, right? Like we say on page 137 that, since although some commerce and communication has recommenced, many of the elder Pen Baedd leaders remain vigilant to maintain the hard-earned peace, while many of the younger warriors look forward to the day when they can once more charge to open war, right? So there's this kind of like conflict between the older and the younger generation of whether or not it's correct to be aggressive again. And maybe so what you're talking about is keeping their oaths and so on. Like, is there a tension there you could play on in terms of beliefs? Could there be a schism within the clan about the right direction.
Like
because
beliefs for like internal conflicts. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because they both believe that theirs is the right way. Like the older one thinks that keeping the peace is the way, and preserving what the Evermother wants for Avallen, whereas the younger generation might be like, no, the way is to expel the invaders.
Yeah.
There's like this. In that way, they're depending on what side of the divide you're on, that can be antagonistic.
Yeah. Dale asked what we're doing. Great question, Dale. We're developing the GM section for each of the clans in the Sourcebook, and how you might want to write adventures or campaigns for them. And specifically at the moment, we're talking about the Pen Baedd as villains, antagonists essentially, and why the Pen Baedd might be the opposing force for an adventure. That will be given to you by someone else outside the clan, or maybe within the clan, seeing the Pen Baedd as a villainistic whole, basically. Why they might be in that situation. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. So I guess, are we saying Oathbreakers, or are we saying like peace versus what? I've got a feeling I know Dale's allegiance.
Well, because they're like, it could be, I don't know, sorry to say, like if you're talking about the oath-breaking.
Oh, I think your camera's frozen. I'm gonna maybe try and disconnect and reconnect quickly.
Okay, hold on. All right, I'll be right back.
Sure. So I guess we're saying Oathbreakers. Show on stream.
Right. Am I back?
You are back, baby.
Okay, wonderful.
So are we saying Oathbreakers then, or what?
I mean, okay, I like the idea of there being sort of like a loyalty oath element to it.
Right.
Okay, when you say so what do you when you say Oathbreaker?
Well, I'm just playing off the part here that they worship the Evermother, valuing piety, honor, and tradition.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched the honor part yet. That's all.
Yeah. And honor can mean different things, right? I mean, I like the idea of one of the beliefs being tied to this, and picture of the land. I mean, could it be this generational schism and the varying views of honor between the older generation and the younger generation, since they're since their culture is kind of on the front lines in the battle against the Pentower and the Raxians?
Yeah.
Is there a generational schism where each of them believes that the sort of hardcore members of the other faction is breaking their oath to the Evermother?
And I guess the question is then, how would that manifest itself as antagonism? Would it be the older generation repressing the younger, or the younger like starting a revolution, like civil war? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, yeah, I imagine it being on whatever side you're on, right? It could either be the elder generation having saying, "Oh, the younger rebels are trying to do this, stop them," or it could be the younger generation saying, "Oh, they're trying to stop this thing and they're allowing this encroachment to our land, stop them or thwart them." Like, it depends on what side of the belief divide you're on.
I guess the issue with this is that it's not an external. That's internal, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's an internal. Which we
kind of covered in the other section. I think is the intent there.
Okay, so more of an external. That's fair. So something where the Evermother is the antagonist to another. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, I was wrong there. I apologize.
No worries. It's all good.
And Dale says they would only break an oath if it goes against the Evermother. That's a good. Yeah, that's a good food for thought. Like, the Pet and Levy are definitely oathbreakers.
Yeah, they've done it before. They'll do it again. Yeah.
Are they oathbreakers?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, on canon they kind of are. Like, they had an alliance with the Pendrake and the Pen Baedd, and they since renegade on that by raiding the lands and that kind of thing. I think the Pen Levy think of it as it was my father's father who made that oath. It wasn't me. I'm not beholden to it anymore. Like, they don't have, as we mentioned in the section we discussed them before, they don't have as much familial connections, and their tribes often collapse and then reform later as well. So it's really hard to tie down your connections, the people that made those promises. It's like, okay, that was a different clan.
Oh yeah,
the more amorphous.
Yeah, because like the Evermother, or like some of the other tribes, like the Pen Baedd, they believe that there's a continuous, like, it's motherland, right? So it's like
motherland, family tree, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
But the Pen Levy are like, okay, until death.
Yeah, exactly. Until death, everything dies, including diplomacy and relations. That kind of thing.
All right, I accept that. That's good.
Well, maybe we should put that in there then. So, like,
I mean, that's interesting. So they could be reinforcing oaths and old things. They could be like the fucking like in Legends not Legends in Ravnica, I mean Azorius.
Yeah.
They could be they're bureaucrats to a fault, where there's like old oaths and things that are like passed down that they remember that the other tribes don't necessarily remember, but then they try to reinforce it, and that creates tension, right?
Yeah.
And that can be really interesting.
Yeah, so I've written here, believe oaths last forever, and children are beholden to their forebears.
Yeah, I can see that. Like it lasts for a long time, and it's just really annoying to the other tribes. Like that was like 100 years ago. We're not gonna.
Yeah, they're the asshole. Like on Facebook, they goes, actually, you can shoot a Scottish man in Liverpool with a longbow because it was a law in the 1100s if they're inside the city walls, that kind of thing.
Sure. They follow the the rule. Sometimes they follow the rule of tradition rather than the spirit.
Druidic dwarves.
They have a long memory.
Yeah, the elf dwarves. Yeah. I believe it's last forever and children.
And there's this interesting thing there, right? Where because they're so traditional.
Yeah.
By being beholden to tradition, but it's like it's tradition and it's passed down or whatever, right? But sometimes it morphs into a
corruption.
Yeah. It's corrupted in the sense that it's following the word and the letter of it or the song of it rather than the spirit of it.
Like fundamentalist religion that doesn't quite fit the modern day environment.
Yeah. And I would love to have what that means for their culture. I'm sure we could come with like tons of examples eventually, but I like that. Fundamentally, I like that aspect where they're trying to reinforce a trade oath or something, but the tribe or the village that promised it can't do it anymore for whatever reason, and the Pen Baedd like threaten war if they don't hold to it. Right?
Honor it. Yeah. I like that. That's really cool. That ties in and makes it unique for them as well. So we got 3 beliefs. The Other Mother is overbearing and knows best. It's people that break away from traditions might be punished. They see themselves as protectors of land and nature, so affronts to that might warrant aggression. And they believe oaths last forever and are passed down between generations. Okay, cool. And we've got 3 grievances as well.
Done.
Oh yeah, I guess we did mention that we should we mention like how the Pen Baedd see the other clans?
Yeah. We can talk about that now. I'm okay with that. That's kind of related.
I think we want to mention that, right? Or did we put it in the player section? Like, do we want to let players know how they should feel about other clans? Maybe that's better there.
Yeah, that's like a player section thing. I don't think that's the secret.
Yeah,
that's just like people being bitchy to each other or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, in that case, then I'm going to mention that. Do we have a secret book draft here? Yeah. Don't look, chat. This is
secret book draft.
Secret book stuff, yeah. Where we actually write out how things are gonna read eventually. So quick, print screen it and have a look.
Well. Oh, so Dale mentions maybe they have a great book of grudges, but what we've established is because they're the most traditional, they're the ones who are least likely to keep books and adopt like writing systems because the traditional way is through druids. Maybe they have a song of grudges, just a long ass song of all the fucking.
A song of grudges. Oh, I like that.
Song of grudges.
A song of grudges. Yeah.
Or song of grievances or something. Whatever. That'd be funny.
The song of grievances. Yeah. I'll write that down. Yeah.
Take screen cap. Did you take a screen cap? The song of grievances. All right. I like that deal.
All right. In that case, then I think we've kind of done that section, which is awesome. I guess there's one more thing we can mention is how the Pen Baedd might enact these grievances. What would they do? Like, what would Pen Baedd aggression look like? What would right? Do you think that's something warranted, right? I mean, obvious as they go to war, but what does that look
Yeah.
like? Or should you think that's something we should mention? What do you think?
Calling someone else's honor into question and like calling for like a battle of honor seems like something that's possible. That seems obvious.
Yeah.
Um,
But so do you think that's something worthy of noting? Like how? Like we have why they would do something that would warrant them to be antagonists, but we haven't said what they would do.
Sure. I mean, wouldn't it be? Would this just be the same for every clan? Like either call for
that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that could be. It could be that.
Yeah, I think we can leave that. I think that's kind of up to the game master, and it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, or if you want to cover that, that should be a thing that's like at the end of those sections, and like, how could you use these grievances? Well, these are the kind of things like, or there could be its own section is like inter-clan conflict or something like that, right?
Sure.
Where you give ideas of how to create conflict and facilitate those kind of encounters.
Yeah.
But not necessarily for each clan, because I feel like the tools would be kind of similar for each clan.
Yeah.
Because it's just war and battles of honor and disputes and so on, and summits and so on. So, yeah. Okay. I froze again. What? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Battles of honor.
Is it because I'm so cool? I'll be right
back. Do you want to maybe restart your computer and then come back quickly, I guess? Or is that too long? Oh, he's actually gone now. Yeah. Show on stream.
Am I back?
Yeah, you are back. I was wondering if you want to restart your computer, but it'd probably take too long. That's fine.
Yeah, that'll take a minute. Yeah, so I should have. I'll try to restart every time I do.
Before we stream, yeah. All right.
Or maybe, yeah. I was gonna go to my office tonight, but I just got held up with other stuff. So
it's okay. So
I could not.
We finished that section, which means now, I think for the first time ever on stream, we can finish a section and move on to another section rather than waiting until next stream.
Ooh, all right, let's do it. Yeah. All right, now let's get the meat stuff. We're gonna do a Pen Baedd adventure idea.
Yeah, and I realized this isn't an adventure idea; it should be an adventure site.
Adventure site.
Yeah.
All right.
So we've got the whole section about secret Pen Baedd lore, and then what kind of adventures you might have in the Pen Baedd lands, and then kind of adventures you have against the Pen Baedd as antagonists. And now we want to just make like a site that would be rife for adventure. This is somewhere that kind of screams adventure. Like it should have lots of different reasons for what kind of activities you might find there, different reasons for why you might go there. But it should be a generic thing, not a particular location. You go on.
I think we talked about this briefly before, and the idea of doing a Grover temple came up.
Yeah. But... So we kind of talked about it and realized that we'd want to have different clans represent different kind of locations. We don't want to be overlap, right? And we ended up writing these lists and figuring things out off stream. And we decided that Pen Baedd would be like a grove or a temple. Search for the lost grove. Exactly, Zilphia. You're already way ahead of us. Yeah, we want it to be some kind of like grove, temple, religious site. And yeah, the reason why it's for the adventure, it probably shouldn't be one that's still being used today. So, okay, so we can tie this into the lore as well. So why we don't want it to be in one particular location. We want it to be kind of common location. So it's like, well, why are there lots of lost groves? Well, I guess the forest grows, right? Maybe they rotate sites and some get left behind. I like the idea of, does that make sense to you? Does the idea that Pen Baedd kind of like rotate the holy grounds? Like sometimes we have a temple here, sometimes we temple there, we kind of move around, and then sometimes ones get lost behind and left in the past.
I mean, maybe, though, although I feel like for a tribe that's aligned more conservatively, wouldn't they try to cherish the old ones for as long as they can? Like,
yeah.
Am I wrong under there? I mean, I'm just looking for a justification where they would want to rotate it rather than keeping it in one place.
Okay. The other option we have is the Elil's Curse, which is something that we wrote on stream previously and haven't found a place to stick it as of yet. We did say it's kind of not a common thing, but it does happen all over the spot. So
Now, okay. Well, there's a couple things. So I like that. Hold that thought because I do want to get to the chat, and I think there's a way to tie this all together. So Dale says the Druids conclave changes every season, so that's a possibility too, right? Like it could be that the Druids want to change the location based on the season, and that's a good justification. And there could also be loss of abandoned ones after they lost against Pen Baedd for the position of High Druid. That's another option that ties into our earlier grievance.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. There's also this concept that we have. Sorry, and we'll get back to the Lil's Curse. But there's also the concept we have of like during the Sorrows, right? A lot of shit happened.
Yes.
And the Sorrows isn't just it was like an actual all-out war, and there could be places that are basically otherworld haunted, scorched earth, and maybe even the Lil's Curse is like a result of that somehow. I don't know. So that's a possibility too, is tying it into the sorrows of these like lost places, because the Pen Baedd have that as well, right? They have like fallen cities from a long time ago that have fallen apart, but different circumstance. But we have that space to play in as well.
Yeah, true. So it's like a fallen grove, and we could have different reasons to why these places there, fallen grove and temples, basically in the forest.
Yeah, and we have something existing in our mythology that doesn't exist in real life mythology, right? Which is a golden period followed by a fucking god war.
Yeah, but we do. I mean, I was inspired by real world mythology because, like we said before, like the Stonehenge. Stonehenge was built thousands of years before the Celts were even in Britain. So to them, these are like monuments from a forgotten, lost time, right? They had no idea why they were there.
Sure.
So it's kind of riffing off that idea, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what? And the other consideration is, why would an adventuring party adventure there?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's the main consideration. So the issue I could foresee with it being a Druid's Grove, like an active Druid's Grove for a conclave, is, does that mean that you're fighting against the Druids there who are protecting it?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like Sylvia's idea of a lost Druid Grove, right?
Yeah, it could be also abandoned. Yeah, with High Holidays also moving to the most sacred sites. I mean, they're cool sites, and it's important to have those in the culture. But what's the adventure? What's the conceit for making sure that the player characters aren't going in and slaughtering a bunch of holy people?
Yeah. Basically, we're like, what's a typical like adventure site? Like, where might players go for adventure and fun? Basically, we're making dungeons. Like, what would be a Pen Baedd dungeon?
What is the Pen Baedd? And one of the obvious answers is sort of tying it into the other world somehow, because that could
yeah, but the other world has its own section. We'll be making other world adventures as well, right? So it has to be in the forest proper. So I mean, I like it. Like the forest, like that's what people think of, right? The forest is dense. There's things that get grown over, they get lost. So you could easily discover something that no one's been in for hundreds and hundreds of years, right?
Right. And why is it abandoned?
Because of the Lil's Curse or something like that, yeah.
Of course. So is the Lil's Curse enough of like a adventure hook or antagonist? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, maybe. No, but the way we wrote the Lil's Curse, that had to do with like a village, right? Taking over a village rather than like a location.
But why not a temple? Temple also has people inside it.
Sure. So what you're saying is like there's a bunch of druids or something, and it got abandoned because the Lil's Curse
turned them into trees. Yeah.
Really turn the trees. Then what they're fighting for is an antidote to cure that.
Yeah, or there's just something lost in there that people have been looking for and haven't been able to find because it's been overgrown and hard to locate or something.
Right. Okay. So that's. Let's keep that as plan. We can keep that plan A. Maybe and Dale says maybe the adventure sites are where they're currently committing eco-terrorism. So that's another interesting option too. Is these groups they have are like the basis for clear antagonists to other clans, and that could be interesting too, right? Their training camp. Could do 2 in 1. Got to find the right abandoned grove temple to break the curse.
Yeah.
Sure, there could be a magical thing associated with that, and you have to overcome it. I mean, is it too cliche to put a monster at the heart of a temple for whatever reason?
Yeah, no,
Is
but
it- is
I think the point is that we're not actually making an adventure. We're making a location that that represents many adventures that could be had there, and encourages the GM to go like, oh, what could I put in there that's fun and exciting? So all these things that people come up with is exactly what we want this to inspire GMs to do, right?
Sure.
So I mean that's good though, because like it's giving people loads of ideas. So I think that means we're onto something, right?
Yeah. And I guess you could make the location, and then because we could create a table or something that says one of the 6 different ideas that could happen there. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be one. You're right. Okay, but fundamentally, the idea of a lost grove, we could either tie it into the idea of the Innistuith being the heart of it, and then a bunch of groves being abandoned because they didn't have enough groves, and that's like sort of the grievance. Or
I think that's cool. I think that the fact that it ties to something mentioned in the same section works really well as well. So, so basically we're saying when Innis Duith. I spelled that wrong. Wait. Oh, that's why. I always forget where the lines go. When Innis Duith became the center for Druidism, a lot of groves in the forest became abandoned, and a lot of, I mean, you imagine the groves would be built on sites that are thin to the other world, right?
Sure, they could be thinner.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of groves in the forest became abandoned. These places are now overgrown. And full of treasure, essentially, full of treasures and forgotten magics, that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of adventures might we have in these places?
Yeah, I mean, the Lil's Curse is a good one. The Eco-Terrorist Camp is another great one that Dale brought up.
What one? Sorry.
The Eco-Terrorist, like it's the
it becomes a camp. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah, it becomes nice way to come.
Thanks, Dale. Shout out Dale. That's a good one.
Yeah, for Eco-Terrorists, it is thin location, and can come infested with name a random fiend, Abirix. Bell says, could they be places for particular types of healing or recovery? Yeah, exactly. Full of treasures, and forgotten magics. How would you say that? I guess full of treasures, forgotten magics, and like artifacts, like magical locations. Like how do we say like it's like a place you would go to?
Like a ley line, like an otherworldly ley line or something.
Yeah, I guess just spiritual sites, right? Like yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. A Lil's Curse, become a camp for eco-terror. Okay, so adventure ideas. A Lil's Curse becomes a camp for eco-terrorists. It's a thin location, infested with Cadrix. Yeah.
I'm looking through our bestiary for any other ideas that we haven't really used or monsters we haven't used that we could suggest. Other thing that might embody it. It could be hunted by a Bellatuk. Have we used a Bellatuk?
Yeah, I used it in the Fairy Queen.
Used the Fairy Queen, right? Yeah, that's fine. I was thinking. Yeah, what's a good one we haven't used that would be apropos?
Oh, from the bestiary. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
We have.
So the legs. Again.
We haven't used the Koraniad yet. The swarms of tiny plague-bearing people.
We talked about using them somewhere recently, though. I'm trying to remember. We have the Spriggan. Well, the Spriggan are in the Pentower lands, though.
Yeah. Oh, Werfolk. That's a good one.
Ooh, werewolf.
right? Yeah.
Sure.
Like a werewolf becomes like a werewolf conclave. Like a werewolf anti-Christ. anti-god conclave. Yeah.
How about a druidic werewolf cult that's associated with the equinox and the solstice, and they go on a rampage?
Yes.
Is that too infrequent?
No, I think that's fine. Yeah. Like a corrupted.
Oh wait, no. Well, no, we do mention full moon. They still have full moon. They still have full moon properties.
Yeah.
Like that's okay too. That's fun. The flowers of another may be a cure for all poisons. That's true. You could have a special grove that is like a sacred grove that is harboring some sort of special flower, but another clan or something. You need to get at it in order to monetize it or something, or to cure something.
Monetize it? Why you always want to monetize everything? It's so funny.
Well, yeah, because I mean, historically, people fought wars over salt. Right? Yeah, I think that's something people forget sometimes, right? The thing that we take for granted, like table salt, caused huge wars and conflicts.
Yeah.
And I don't try to forget that about antiquity. I think the battle for resources is a huge thing amongst ancient cultures, and I mean, in Welsh in Celtic culture, they fought battles over cows and cattle because they were valuable, and that seems kind of quaint to us in the modern day, but it's very important because they're sources of. They're a valid source of wealth. So yeah, like whenever I think of something that has value, the question is whether or not they want to share it. If they don't share it, will someone try to fight for it? And that's where my head's at.
Okay, so this actually went way quicker than I thought it would. And now we need to design a map, but I'm just not going to do that. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, do you want just 5? So we have 5 ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably okay. Yeah.
It is okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's anything else we can write about these groves, and like I guess we could write a brief of what the map would look like. Like, what are we imagining? Are we imagining something that's ends up going like underground, or is it just surrounded by trees? How does it have corridors and rooms? Like, what is the structure of it? I guess is it inside trees? Is it inside the roots? Like overgrown roots and then underground stuff?
It's a good question.
What are they built out of? Yeah.
I mean, wood.
Yeah, but how?
Yeah. Or they're not built out of wood.
They're made out of plastic.
No. What I mean is, would they be built out of wood? And they'll probably no. They have to be built out of because the Pen Baedd like specialize in tree shaping, right? Like shaving sheaths, like build. So I almost feel certainly they have to be living tree. Like these temples have to be living trees. Yeah. But is that magically shaped to sort of do what they think, do what they need to do? But does that mean that it's just like a room in the middle of the forest?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It has to have corridors and things like that, right? So it's shaped from trees and roots that form corridors and rooms within a forest and underground. I thought that they have to go underground as well, right, into the soil.
I mean, you also use a bit of numerology. They could be pagodas, tree pagodas that have to have 5 levels, one for each of the everyone's.
Okay. A tree pagoda. Interesting. Yeah, that goes up.
A tree pagoda. Yeah, it's like a. they
so could it be built with inside like a tree? Like it's inside a huge oak, something like that.
Yeah, a huge oak or like a bunch of oaks like tied together that creates like a multi-level type thing.
Yeah, that's better than underground. Within.
Dale recommends maybe a curse grove. The adventurers want to help heal. Because like if it's living, right? Like if the trees are if the groves are meant to be a living thing intended to, then what happens when they're not tended to anymore? Do they lose their magic, or do they overgrow and become these wild things? Do they become cursed because they have magic and so you have to help it? That's an interesting question. What that means.
What's the? You're Asian and from California. You're a Bruce Lee fan, right?
3 true things.
Yeah, nice, cool. Me too. Except the other 2 of them. What? Which one is it when he fights up the pagoda? Is it the big boss?
Is that not Enter the Dragon?
Oh, is it Enter the Dragon?
Hold on, Lee Pagoda. If we just Google that, that would be Game of Death.
Game of Death. Wait,
Game
are
of
you
Death.
sure it's Game of Death? That's the one when he wears the orange
the yellow
jumpsuit, right?
suit, kind of yellow suit, and fights against
the basketball player.
No, yeah, he fights against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
The basketball guy, the huge guy with the super long hands. Arms,
I don't think I've seen that whole thing. I've seen lots of it, but I don't know if I've ever seen the whole movie.
Yeah, dude, my dad was a huge Bruce Lee fan. He instilled that within me hard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wrote a Bruce Lee quote at the start of my my PhD thesis.
Wait, oh, you did? Well, what was the quote?
Can I find? It was because my thesis was on water moving between cracks and grains, right? So it was like water is formless, shapeless. Put into a cup, it becomes the cup. Put it into a vase, it becomes the vase. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Yeah, that one.
Ah, right. That's a pretty famous quote.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I was super happy that you managed to apply it to my thesis. You're gone.
If you guys don't know this, Deren does have a doctorate in physics, and he were you published in Nature?
Yeah, I was published in a subsidiary of Nature, or Nature Science or something like that, yeah.
And basically, he studied cracks.
Yeah. Yeah, I did study cracks. Yeah.
So Sylvia says, tree husbandry was a thing. Trees were shaped over many years, and when no longer cared for, they would grow wild and overgrown. Yeah. So 100%. Whatever that means. I mean, it would be awesome if there was a way they became hostile, but I don't know if we can I mean, maybe they can. I don't know. What do you think?
You forced me to get my thesis up on stream now.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so here it is. Yeah, the Bruce Lee quote even called out cracks. It said, "Be like water, making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object. You shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. Put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Put it in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend." Dude, it's so perfect, so good. I love it when things connect like that.
Did you? Yeah, you like that too. What's the name of your thesis?
Name of my thesis is Pattern Formation and Flow to Fracture Transitions in Granular and Shear Thickening Materials.
That title is a mouthful.
Yeah, but there's some pretty patterns. There's some pretty patterns. Yeah, this kind of stuff. I think this stuff is pretty. Making cracks in sand. Anyway, we're way off topic now. But I guess we're kind of finished today.
Now I need to find a way to integrate your
our thesis into our world and to
we use this in the source book. Like, there's some sort of like crack magic or fracturing pattern in the Pen Baedd lens that can use your.
Well, it's a little granular physics to do with soils and water and things like that. So there's something there, I'm sure. I'm trying to find the prettiest pictures, but.
Fun stuff, my friend. Yeah. I remember when you were studying that stuff. It's quite weird. Quite fun for you to share your thoughts about creating cracks and stuff.
Yeah.
It's quite pretty. Looks like coral almost. Anyway, there's something to it.
Yeah.
And it looks like the image you just pulled up.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
I mean, I think about tree canopies, right? Like, isn't that a thing in tree canopies? Like, what is it called when there's the tree canopy growing in a forest, and it looks like what you studied, cracks, but the leaves don't touch each other. There's a term for that. Do you know?
Oh, you mean like fractal patterns?
Maybe, but specifically with like tree canopies and so on.
I mean, we did. Oh no, we had the word for it. It's we used the word for that because our patterns are like tree branches in that they don't touch and they stay a certain distance apart. God, I wish I remember.
Is it?
Go on.
Crown shy. So there's something called crown shyness. It's a phenomenon with tree tops where trees don't touch each other's limbs and leaves and growth, but they stay apart, and they create geometric lines that are unique and individualized to each tree.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, we didn't use that word, but that sounds exactly right.
Yeah, but the patterns look similar to what you studied.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of together. So anyway, there's crown shyness. Oh, thanks, Diggs. It is pretty. Crown shyness. That's a big part of our. That's the adventure. There's crown shyness. There's no more crown shyness, and the trees are overlapping on each other. And
oh yeah, that's right. We called it dendritic, which is like Latin for tree-like. So because they were tree-like. Yeah.
I mean, is that a thing?
Hmm?
Is that a thing too? Right? Okay, so like Zilphia mentioned that tree husbandry was a thing, and there's no longer cared for. They would go wild and overgrown. Could there be an adventure where things do get overgrown for a magical reason, and they have to like figure out how to stop that? Is that interesting?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that...
Like let's say the forest is kind of like overgrowing in a region and encroaching on like a town, which has like not happened before. So it's obviously it's unnatural, and then you could follow the source back to a grove where it's all growing out from.
And it's the tree folk.
It's the tree folk, yeah.
Or it's a water elemental growing on the trees, like ha 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 ha. I'm gonna fuck you guys. That's also an option.
Right,
Practical wood is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Okay, I think we're done. I know it's weird if we end the stream early, but I feel like we've finished this, and that's where we need to leave it. And now we're just kind of treading water.
No, we can. I'm okay with stopping there and and having a nice tight end to our stream.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that now I think we've written a draft on stream for every section of the source book.
Let's go!
Which, yeah, let's go. So that means I don't know what we're going to do next week. We could start drafting like other parts of it, or we could go into what we're writing in depth. But I feel like in depth is a bit too slow, isn't it? Like to do on stream.
Is a lot
we could start doing art briefs.
Art briefs are fun. Like
Yeah.
I would love to talk about art briefs with you and look, because that's fun on stream too, right?
Yeah.
Looking for like reference images and stuff like that are available. Wait, can we do that legally?
Yeah, we could browse the internet.
Yeah, we can browse the internet, right?
Yeah.
And looking that could be a lot of fun. So,
yeah, we can plan out what kind of illustrations we want to do for different sections, and people can have an insight into what it's like planning illustrations for a book, because it's a whole thing, right? You have a finite amount of art, so you have to pick about what topics you really want to illustrate and have represented, or try and overlap topics so one piece of art shows multiple things. Yeah.
And people can and it's a matter of public record, right? We're not just doing a bunch of like random things in AI art and then sticking our book as placeholders so to make ourselves feel better. We're fabricating it and creating prompts and prompting our artists to make stuff rather than like a machine that'll make it look like everyone else's art kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like this book is partially a matter of public record and guide and proving that we're doing it ourselves, guys. Right?
Yeah.
We're doing it ourselves. No generative AI here.
Yeah. All right. So, cool. Let's leave it there then. I guess we're kind of on time, really. We're 7 minutes early for ending it. That's fine.
Unless you want to go to 9 and we just meander for 7 minutes. That's
nah, because then I have to cut it at the end of the YouTube video, and I don't want to do any more editing. So.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, I'll tell you what then. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to Zilphia. Shout out to Dale. Shout out to Diggs.
Yeah. Shout out to all the lurkers. I see you.
Shout out to the lurkers. We see you. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and join us next week when we talk
follow
about
us. Post in the chat.
And basically, if you go back and watch the stream, you'll see a book being made, and that's what this whole thing is for.
Yeah.
Just two buddies writing a book together. That's what this stream is.
Yeah. All right, take it easy, everyone. See you next week, next Thursday.
Yeah.
Same Vodic time, same Vodic place.
Yeah, we will see you next week. Is that right?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, all right.
Yeah, have a good week, everyone. Laters.
Bye, guys.